Okay. It says we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, all the con heads out there, fellow Succession fans. I don't know if you identify as a con head. I guess that's what the Succession fandom is called, con heads. We are here to give you our final predictions for the final episode of the entire show. It's crazy. 2 days away. We've got a whole roster of people joining us. Right now, it's just me and Yutaka from the Horror Hour. Yutaka, are you ready for tomorrow? Or not Sunday?
Yes, I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot. I mean, so many shows are ending on Sunday. But yeah, this is the show that I am most excited for.
Yeah, me too. It's crazy. I've already pre-grieved it ending, so I will. I'm not going to be too sad on Sunday when it comes around. But yeah, so I think the best way to do this is to go by character. Or in general, before we do that, what are your thoughts on this season so far?
Oh, I've actually really enjoyed this season. I think everybody is operating at a different level. I definitely think, killing off Logan, that was insane. And that was a phenomenal episode, but definitely not one that was expected. So I do love that they did that. And I think it's changed the dynamic between the siblings. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this season a lot.
Yeah. I think this is already probably, finale, even if it's terrible, my favorite season so far. I think I agree. Killing Logan off so early was just, it changed the show completely and in a great way, even if Brian Cox disagrees. I really liked it. And
he's allowed to.
He's allowed to have his opinion, even if it's wrong. But yeah. We have a few other con heads set to join us right now. Let's go first with, okay, here we go. Trevor is
enough already. Connor Roy 2024.
Oh, that is his slogan. Yep, a fellow conhead. And we've got Sam. Is Sam a conhead?
Oh. Hi.
There we go. So we were just talking about, what are your thoughts on the season so far?
Great, perfect, wonderful, fantastic, beautiful,
brilliant, outstanding. What's the Lady Gaga thing where she just says all
stunning, beautiful, yes.
The great best picture, best director, best actor.
That's what it's going to be at the Emmys.
Yes, absolutely.
Ooh, we'll see.
It's going to be. Hopefully. But let's get it right into it with some predictions. I think the way we're going to do it is by character. And why not start off with our number one boy, Kendall? Let's see. Who do I want to ask first? How do you think Kendall is going to end the show, Yutaka?
Oh, I hope poorly. That's my hope. I don't think it's going to happen. But he's
already had it pretty rough. But yeah.
Well, he kind of deserves it. I think he really. Well, anyways, no, I think he will end up achieving greatness at a certain point and then lose most of it. Like have everything pulled out from underneath him. But he'll still be fine. I just think he's going to have a very damaged ego, which would make me happy, but he'll still be fine.
Yeah. How about you, Sam? What do you think, Kendall?
Well, Trevor and I have been talking about this for a little. Also, sorry if I sound like I'm dying. I have the worst allergies right now.
I do too.
There is more pollen in the air right now than there was snow throughout the entire winter, and it is absolutely awful. Anyways, yes, Trevor and I discussed this. We both think that Kendall is ultimately going to leave his family and become with oneself and sort of disassociate from the hierarchy of it all and be on his own, which I think, he kind of needs that. I think he needs some time alone.
For sure. Yeah, we developed this theory also in conjunction with Thomas, who's my co-host at Oscar Buzz, and he's been doing these corkboard conspiracy theory prediction things, which are very fun. But yeah, so our idea is basically that the entire theme of the show is separating business from family. Season 1, episode 1, right? It's Kendall goes to Logan's birthday party. We don't know how many more of these we're gonna have, all of that, and then Logan's like, you shouldn't have done this. You just should have stayed with this deal. You can always choose family over business. Choose business. So I think what we're gonna get is Kendall finally takes the lesson from Logan after Logan is gone and chooses business over family. And I think that, we have this whole thing of the American CEO. I think we're going to see Mencken potentially approve that deal, but our American CEO isn't going to be Shiv because the girlies always lose. And I think instead we're going to see the American CEO be Kendall. And Kendall is thus going to completely cut out his family from Waystar and Etienne and everything. And he will be the American CEO alongside Mencken and Matteson and everything. And business over family.
Yeah, I could really see that full circle. But before we move on to another character, we've got a final special guest joining our panel here. He is the king of all movie and TV content. He's my go-to for everything HBO related. We have Elliot from Movie Files joining us. Hello, Elliot.
The king. Okay.
king.
That's an interesting title.
Top of the
How we
throne.
doing tonight? How's everyone doing?
Good.
Great.
Do you have any
Taka? How we doing,
predictions?
Taka?
Yeah, we got you
jump right
talking.
in.
We're going character by character. So
Okay.
right now we're talking about Kendall. Where do we think he's going to end this show?
My man Kendall. Well, as a fan of Kendall, I hope he ends on top, right?
Team Kendall. Okay.
It just makes sense, for Kendall to be number one. But no, I think we've seen the progression of the character becoming more and more like the person he didn't want to become in season 3, which was his father. He's made a lot of those moves this season, and we're seeing that kind of correlation between whatever happened between Ewan and Logan many years ago is slowly but surely happening between Kendall and his siblings, and particularly with Roman. So I think he's going to cut ties with Rome, and we've seen that kind of Siobhan relationship kind of dissolve in the last few weeks. But I think he has to cut the dead weight and get that crown and end up on top. So I can see that happening, but I'm sure, as we'll talk about with other characters, I can see a twist coming out of nowhere. But I would love to see my man Ken on top if possible.
For
Yeah.
sure. I mean, it's Shakespearean, right? The show is Shakespearean.
It makes sense.
And it would make so much sense as a Shakespearean, dramaturgically, it would make sense if Kendall Ray ended up on top.
It's really been his story all along. I think, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
it would be full circle for him to. I think if there's going to be a Roy kid on top, it will be him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see either of the others happening. And then it would prove that the poison does drip through.
It would also prove that it was underlined and not crossed out.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, do we think anything is going to come of that waiter story? Do you think either of his siblings will use that against him? Or is that done and over?
To me, it's like they were complicit with it because they were aware of it from season 3. And obviously, if you throw Kendall on the bus, you're throwing your dad on the bus because he covered up the whole scandal. So it will be a domino effect, in my opinion. If they were to bring that to light, they're taking themselves down. Unless it's like it's like if they were like, you know what, I'm just going to throw everything at the kitchen sink, no matter if my life is going to be thrown at the equation, then possibly. But I doubt that they're going to sabotage themselves in order,
I don't think Roman would.
Yeah,
I think Shiv might, but
I was thinking Roman would.
Interesting.
I think he
because of
would
the
have
dad thing,
an
Roman
actual
wouldn't, but
tantrum.
Potentially.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well,
Maybe.
I think Shiv is a little more brutal than Roman. I think at
Yeah.
one point in season 3, she did already post some sort of article about Kendall.
Right.
Right. When he saw in the news, and was
she's willing to shiv him sometimes. But I don't know
Right.
if she'll go that far.
And also, Shiv already feels more like technically Roman is still co-CEO right now, right? I mean, it seems like Kendall's trying to, get rid of him.
I think so.
But technically, like Roman's still in the company as co-CEO. Shiv is just not Shiv is so over, and she thinks that she's in with the American CEO thing, and I think that she's being delusional, which I feel bad for my girl, but it's
I think that's a perfect transition to next on the board. We've got Shiv. I personally, I'm Team Shiv. If I were to root for anyone to end up on top, it would be her. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously. I'm just hoping by the end of this show that she is completely out of the whole toxic family business environment, goes to raise her kid, maybe takes Mondale with her to go on some walks.
Mondale.
and I think that's a win. Getting out of the family business is a win. What I think. But how about you guys? How about you, Taka? What do you think about Shiv?
I mean, I want her to take it all. That's just me though. I've really been vibing with her character this season, and I do think. I mean, I think she's probably one of the most vile characters at times, just because of like her and Tom's relationship, and like I mean, both of them know how to dig deep into each other in a sense, but I would love to see her take it all. I just feel like she's too focused, and I think she'll end up getting double crossed.
Yeah. How about you, Trevor, fellow Team Shiv member?
Let's go, fellow Shiv girly. Listen, I agree. I think it makes a lot of sense for her to just be completely out. I do want to bring up though, like the kids did buy Pierce in the first episode of the season. Like that is still a thing that all three, and I'm not sure what the logistics of that look like, but like they spent like what $10 billion to buy PGN Pierce. So like I don't know if maybe we were saying like Kendall takes, Waystar and ATN and everything like that, and he cuts everybody else out. Could we see somebody end up at PGN? And if somebody does, I feel like that would be Shiv. I feel like that kind of aligns with her politics, and we could end up seeing like Shiv taking PGN, and then Kendall's a top ATN, and then Roman's just a Ewan, and he's completely gone. But I don't know. I could see that being a possibility because like that was the first episode of the season, and it would be weird if they just ignored that. So I feel like that will come back in a meaningful way, and I feel like this is a way where it would make a lot of sense if Shiv ends up taking PGN.
Yeah, I could see that. How about you, Elliot? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think the Pierce acquisition to me, like you just mentioned, has been kind of in limbo. I always just assumed that it was pending the sale of Waco, because I know they said we have the funds, because the one money guy that they were talking about in episode 1 said they were able to acquire it, but I think they, like $10 billion is definitely something that you just don't have pocket change for that. So I was always an assumption that it was pending the closing of Waystar, then they can absorb that. But I'm on a very similar wavelength in regards to seeing the tragedy of the family splitting up. Siobhan running Pierce, and depending on what happens with her and Tom, this whole roller coaster of hate and love each other one week and want to cut each other's throats the next week. I wouldn't be surprised if she wants Tom to potentially, if they do stay together, the father of her child, running Pierce, and maybe taking Greggy along as well. So I can definitely see that split of the waters of okay, Kendall, this is what you wanted. You're going to lose your family, and we're going to, be that rival for the next however long they're going to be in business. So, but Siobhan is just a character I've always been fascinated with. And I personally believe that she does need to leave the family business out of it, because when we first met her, she wanted nothing to do with the business. She was doing, politicians and making sure they were doing their thing to make sure they're in the powers that they can be. So I've always just assumed that she was going to eventually just rid herself of the family business, because it was something that she was never really that interested in, due to the fact that her father never gave her that opportunity. So I would love to see her kind of build something from the ground up, because just going back to this season, episode 1, her and Roman were really the ones that were kind of more excited about starting the 100s versus when Kendall kind of got his whole getting back at dad, whole motivative side of it. So I always felt like she's always had that in her to want to build something, but of course, her family kind of swept her into the whole greed of it all. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes of her in the show, but I hope she has something of her own.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam, what do you think? Are you Team Shiv?
Of course. And I don't know, her character I agree with everything. I think that from the beginning, she's been perhaps the most emotionally suppressed character. I think her along with Roman, I think in different ways. I think the way Shiv, goes through interactions is that she appears really kind of tough and firecracker on the outside, but she's really not on the inside. I think there in the episode where she makes that deal, the first one of the season, you see her. There's like this little moment where she walks through a door and she appears so confident, but she kind of breaks for a moment. And maybe this is just because Sarah is such a good actress, but I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know about her character, and it sort of made me want to root for her, because I think having like that position in the leading role is a really like it really deconstructs the hierarchy of these families. And I don't think she's going to come out on top, given her history with this kind of thing. I really don't think she's going to end on a positive note. I do think, though, that her and Tom are kind of unable to separate themselves from each other. So perhaps she might just accept the fact that they're going to be together and raise kind of a nuclear family. Well, they watch their brothers, do bigger things than her when she was the one who deserved it.
Yeah. I'm just hoping I think she'll have the second best outcome of the Roys, which can move us on to, I think, who will probably end up the worst. He's already at a pretty rock bottom already, but Roman, I don't know what's gonna happen. I can see possible outcomes for like every other character we're going to talk about. Roman is really kind of a wild card for me, which is I've seen some people thinking he might die. I don't know if this is that kind of show, but I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Okay, hold up. Just quick trigger warning. Do we think anybody's going to unalive themselves?
I was going to ask that too. I was thinking,
is that a thing?
I don't know, but if someone were to die, who do you think it would be?
I would say Roman.
I think Roman.
I feel like Tom.
Tom would be my second choice.
I don't know.
Tom?
Man hasn't slept in 5 days. Not enough.
I don't know. The balcony scene in episode, what was it, 7?
He thought he was going to jump off the balcony or Shiv
No,
throw him off.
Some vibe about that scene threw me off. It didn't feel right.
I mean, it was election night and he hadn't been sleeping. I don't know if he'll go that far. If anybody were to do that, I would always think it would be Kendall. He wouldn't, but he's the person who I think is mentally most fractured of the three. I think Roman is breaking, but I don't think he was ever a strong person. I just think it's hard to explain his character in a sense in terms of I feel he has emotion, but I still feel like he's just stunted in terms of growth. He is just a child still because I don't think he had to ever grow up. So,
I will say it's interesting. We were talking about Shiv not really wanting to be a part of the family business thing, but that was also kind of Roman. Like literally our introduction to the character of Roman in like the first episode of the show is him like making fun of the business. He's like looking like business very serious. Like he's making fun of like the entire business, and he comes in with like his like scent guy who's gonna set the like scent mood for like the meeting. He's like making a complete mockery of this entire structure and business of Waystar. And then it wasn't until he was, being offered a high position, high power position when Logan wanted to basically bribe him to get him to sign the thing to get Marsha on the trust and all that. Like, that's the only point when he actually got in. But it wasn't until he was given the promise of power that he was actually even interested in the company in the first place. So, like, Kendall is still the only one, like, not even a Roman is, like, interested from the beginning in the company in and of itself, not just for the power.
Yeah. I still just don't know, like, where he's going to end up at the end of the show. I mean, Elliot, what do you think? How Roman might end?
Yeah, he is such a wild card, and that's kind of the beauty of the character. Is this kind of the you never know what to expect from him. But I've always assumed that he was kind of that the child that, whether it was being locked in the dog cage and eating dog food and just kind of always being not as ignored as Connor, but I think he's always just seeked attention. So he's always the one that says the most off the wall stuff, the most inappropriate stuff to get a reaction out of people, because he's never truly got the reaction he wanted from Logan, his father, as well as his other siblings. They seem to be doing more, like they've grown up a lot more and quicker than he has. So I think secretly if it was a facade when we first met him of like not being interested, but really just, again, deep down inside, always wanting to have that yearning to have that approval from Logan. And especially just thinking of the last time he spoke to his dad was an order that he was uncomfortable with, which was firing Gerri. And I think he just always has it on his shoulder of just like, I have to impress dad. And he's a screw up, right? The whole video that Kendall sent him as a joke. So him, where he's going to land by the end of the show, I really honestly have no clue. But going back to like, if there were
Yeah.
Do you think he could lose all his money if, say, a lawsuit from Gerri?
Would that hit him directly, or would it be against the company?
Because
like here's the thing, I could see Waystar completely, because they have a potential Gerri lawsuit. What if
election fraud
with the what if the fire happened? What if all the ballots are fine and they just completely falsely called perfectly valid ballots? Like, that is an insane level of election fraud, and they are going to be sued from all corners of the world. Like, they could lose a ridiculous amount of money if that is proven to be true. So like, I could see that as a possibility where Waystar just gets sued into oblivion and loses like all of its wealth.
Yeah.
And winner is Gerri, because she leaves with all the money. But it was also probably the best choice for CEO this entire time, I'm just saying.
One of the best, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, so Roman's definitely a wild card for all of us in terms of what's going to happen. I think if I know that there were money bet places for who's going to end up on top here, just like there were with Game of Thrones. And if I were to put money down, I would put money down on Tom, probably. I think if Matteson is going to pick an American CEO, I think he may pick Tom. I think he respects Tom. I think, what is it? There was a little bit of an echo where Tom missed a family affair, the funeral, to do work. So he stayed at work, which is exactly what Logan said that Kendall should have done during the first episode, where Kendall attended Logan's birthday instead of finishing the deal. And he's also been tired the past few episodes. I feel like they're kind of downplaying him these past few episodes so he can maybe rise up to the top. I don't know if he's going to end up as the CEO, but I could see that being something potentially choosing.
Isn't this last episode called like Open Eyes or something like that?
Yeah,
it is with Open Eyes.
That could play into the Tom idea as well.
Yeah, I remember Matteson also saying that he doesn't respect anyone who sleeps well, which is also Tom recently. So I don't know. If I were to place a bet on who he would pick as American CEO, I would say Tom, but I'm not completely sure about that. What do you guys think? Tom, what's in store for him?
That's an intriguing theory. I hadn't considered it.
My Tom theory is in a reverse from a character that we haven't mentioned quite yet. But I just don't see Tom stepping up to the plate in that sense. Of course, it would make sense from Lucas to have someone that he could be the puppet master and control someone like Tom or another character we'll speak of later. But I just don't see the show going that route again. It has been one of those things where Tom has been such a, unregard kind of underdog situation that, outside. I personally think that if someone from our group is going to be, and again, we'll talk about this character later, but I don't know. I don't really see Tom having that being crowned the CEO, even if Lucas, because I think the opposite. I don't think Lucas respects him at all, just based on certain comments he's made in front of his wife, as well as just kind of disrespecting him in his own house. So it'll be interesting to see, but I don't personally see Tom being the number one. I can see him being the number two to someone else a little bit later, but I don't see him getting that crown.
Yeah, I don't think respect was the right word. I think maybe more like he sees him as an easy guy to puppet.
Right, for
he
sure.
Always tries to placate to Matteson the times he's talked to him.
Maybe because I really want to see like bad things happen to all these people because I'm just twisted like that. But you made a good point though, in terms of, somebody's going to go down for the election.
Right.
Someone should.
He's the one who made the
in a
call.
just world. Yeah.
Well, in the newspaper spread, he wasn't the top person. He was complaining about that. It was
Oh,
the I can't remember the name of the guy. Huh?
I think Darwin.
Darwin, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the newspaper spread, like if you look at it,
that's
it was
right.
listed as Darwin made the call, and then Tom was listed under him as a smaller profile. And Tom was like, "Well, if you're gonna
Yeah.
call me out, at least give me all the credit. Like, what is this?"
Yeah.
But that might actually come back in his favor because I think if anyone goes down, it might actually be Darwin.
Which would be fitting for the way things play out on this show. But yeah.
that's
Well, we know
that's
Tom
true.
did throw himself under the bus. He was willing to go to jail, so that means he
Right.
might end up getting that wish fulfilled as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. True. Any final thoughts on Tom before we move to his Greglet?
Are we going to be talking about Lucas as
We
well?
will. Yes.
Okay, cool.
I do wonder how the relationship between Shiv and Lucas will affect any sort of situation with Tom.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Mm,
important that
yeah.
is. Like, you can't really tell if that'll play a role or not at all. I think it's just something I'm questioning more than actually thinking will happen.
Yeah.
True. Well, if there were a character I didn't want to see end up on top, it would be Greg. He's one of the characters I dislike the most.
Yeah,
But I it's a distinct possibility. He, as everyone's really pointed out, he started the season puking out of a costume, and ending up on top would kind of be like the ultimate rise up the ladder. But what do you guys think?
he was
I
What's
the
feel
first
like
happening?
this would be a little out there.
It would
It
be
was-
a little out there.
It was
It'd be a little
Logan, then Kendall, then
brand.
Greg were our introductions. That was the order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that going back to just kind of I've been alluding to it all so far. That's the wild card person that I think could be the ultimate puppet being controlled by Lucas, just because of recently you mentioned just previous conversations that he had with Tom, the relationship that's kind of developed over the last, I guess, chronologically in the show, last 24 hours or 48 hours between Lucas and Greg hanging out and hey, sexy and all that, like this, the funny banter that Lucas has been throwing at him. To me, that's just like the early signs of him just being like, this is my CEO, aka my puppet that I'll be controlling behind the scenes, and he's just the face of the company. And it is, I don't think it is a coincidence that we did open the show with someone like with Greg throwing up and just seeing that progression of him running the company. To me, it almost would be too slapstick funny, like too like I feel like Succession wouldn't do it, but at the same time I can kind of see them doing something so crazy, just because it would just go to the whole idea of like, in reality of just how there are idiots running companies and idiots running the country at points. So it could just speak to that whole, just like how we put these people in power and position that are just, complete doofuses. So they could play that way. I've seen a lot of the memes for any Game of Thrones fans of how we never would suspect that, Bronn leading the Seven Kingdoms. Never saw that happen.
That's
Oh,
actually
And the
very
same
true.
could be said with Greg. We could have never imagined this silly, goofy person who slowly but surely has become our entry point into this crazy world. And now he's kind of become the evil that he's kind of, been watching over these past 4 seasons. And he's been taking notes. Greg has been very manipulative, and, he didn't want to fire people to now he loves firing people, and just the way he's been carrying himself. So it's been building, and got to break some eggs, some egglets to make things happen. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
He's learning. I mean, I do think he's the biggest, second biggest idiot. We haven't talked about the one I think who is the biggest idiot in my opinion, but I think he really he's easily he's easily manipulated. And I think he also just wants to he wants praise and to be seen like he can do a good job. So he'll do almost anything. And I honestly see that. Yeah. He wouldn't even know any better too if he were doing something wrong half the time. And so I don't know, plausible deniability.
I think the strongest argument is that he's an easy puppet.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's definitely the strongest. Again, do I necessarily see that half? I don't know. I could see him maybe being like second, it would like, as you said, like it would both like make a lot of sense for Succession to do something that silly, but also it's that silly. Like
It's yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like, just speaking of like HBO shows that are pretty Shakespearean, Succession's tone is pretty, I don't want to say mellow, but it's kind of static and like toned down compared to like The White Lotus. All of our
Right.
craziest theories here feel like they would make more sense on The White Lotus than they would in Succession. So my idea is that what's going to happen ultimately, and this isn't really a specific prediction, but it's that the ending of the show is sort of going to creep up on you. It's going to be subtle, and it isn't going to be like blatant. Something tells me that the way that Jesse Armstrong wrote it, he doesn't want it to be kind of edgy and uptight. He wants it to be more, self-possessed, if that makes sense.
No, it makes 100%. I mean, because just think of the Logan's death. I mean, any other show that would have been a penultimate episode or the finale, but this was episode 3 randomly. No one anticipated Logan dying so early. So I can agree with you there on like not having that shock value of just having it just for the sake of. But I have been a component of like they have a wild card. I'm still shocked that they didn't put Connor as the president just to again throw the obscenity or the craziness of someone like that running the country, but. Greg is another wild card for me, the other character that could be, someone that they could use as that pawn. But yeah, again, going back to just, again, this isn't that show to go for that type of response from its audience. But it could be, hey, he could be the CEO for one day and going back to what you were mentioning earlier with the company just shutting down due to allegations and being sued out of the wazoo. So he could be the CEO for like it will take months or years probably to shut down such a conglomerate and an empire like Waystar. But I can see him for temporary time being a CEO before maybe he does something stupid. Because I wouldn't be, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but I'm almost certain that we're going to get some dramatic time jump just because every episode has been a day and that's been very deliberate because they haven't had really time to process anything. So I feel like the first, because it is apparently an hour and a half, first 45 minutes, an hour will be whoever the company CEO would be, and in the next 30 minutes or so will be like the come down from all of that, and we're going to fast forward years ahead to see the ramifications of it all. But
I would like that. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I would like that
because it has been it's been very deliberate. We've been following them for 9 days essentially, which is so crazy.
Crazy.
I didn't realize it's only been 9 days.
Yeah, it's insane. So, but I do feel like the time jump is coming.
I also kind of love if they did just keep it in 10 days. Like, and they were just able to keep a entirely self-contained 10-day story that was able to wrap up the entire season. I think that would even be like more impressive if they were able to pull that off and it was satisfying. I do think that we'll probably get a time jump. I don't know how dramatic it will be as far as like, large or how much time we'll have devoted to it. But like honestly, like I don't know. I could genuinely see them just sticking to the 10 days and just fully committing to that bet.
Yeah, possible. I think back to Greg, I think either way, I think he's going to end up in a position of power. I think Greg just knows where power resides, and he always leeches onto it wherever it is.
I don't know if he knows. I think he's more like
I think he's a little smarter than people.
I was going to say that. I think so.
I mean, he got those papers as when he was working for Tom
for the crew situation.
Yeah, some liability. I think he's a little.
He did kind
smarter.
of mess that up though a little bit.
I was going to say he didn't execute that really.
Tom told him to, and then he still kind of messed it up, and then like. Messed up in front of like the senator or whatever. Like he didn't entirely execute that well.
So he didn't go to jail after talking to Congress for the many minutes he was. He survived the lion den, so he's a little bit more.
So it is said
exactly. Right. Just confuse everyone with words, and you'll make your way out of the situation.
If you say enough words, they won't understand.
Exactly.
There we go. Yeah, but I do think he'll end up in a. Not number one, but he'll be in a powerful position. Who knows? Maybe he'll even end up firing Tom, which would be quite.
That would be funny though. I would.
It would be funny.
When are
would
we
be
getting
nice
the
to see.
rom-com? That's all that I want.
Right.
Like,
The spin-off.
This show needed something like that. It would have made me more invested than I already was. That would have been so funny.
And I mean, too, Ewan's, return for the first time this season, that would be a crazy twist if he's been secretly working with Tom or Greg behind the scenes to, to go back to Yutaka being like a bumbling idiot. Maybe at night he's been calling Grandpa, to get kind of tips on how to work around and maneuver his way to where he's at now. And also his mom, behind, we got her for the first time since I don't know when the last time we saw her.
I don't know if Ewan would be down for that though. Like,
yeah,
I feel like Ewan wants him to get as far. Like, he offered him what, like $1 million or something like that to get out of the company.
Yeah,
like, I'm doing Greenpeace. But like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ewan would do everything to make sure that Greg doesn't get to power in Waystar.
Yeah, probably. I think we're probably done with Ewan for the season. I think that eulogy was probably his last
good
mic drop moment.
Too.
Yeah, good mic drop.
Give me that best actor, please.
Yeah, he's probably gonna win that. Yeah. Let's get to the final Roy child, the forgotten Roy child. Fitting that he's.
I was genuinely like, who?
Connor.
Nothing will happen with him.
He's gonna have a happy ending, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah.
I really think I'm like 99.9% sure that he's not going to be very involved in this.
Probably.
Good.
I think he'll get an ending, but I don't think he'll be super involved.
So just have a nice honeymoon with Willa, the most wholesome couple of the show.
If I were to be honest, that I love the actor, growing up, Ferris Bueller, and he's a great career, but I've always felt like the show has always felt like they didn't know what to do with Connor, or like they would just use him as someone as like a comic relief to kind of break the tension or bring a little bit of levity to some of these more serious conversations. So I'm totally in agreement that I feel like he already had his happy ending. He got Willa, he had the wedding, he was able to put together the funeral for his father. So I feel like there's not a lot more for him to do besides just pick a side and kind of leave it at that. So I don't personally see anything crazy happening unless, going back to the whole Lucas putting someone in power position. I don't know if Lucas would ever give Connor the reins, just due to the fact that he's always been, again, just happens to fall into, running for president. Like, who would have thought he would have made it? He didn't really make a dent into the election, but we never would have imagined he made it that far. So I don't know, maybe Lucas throws Connor's hat in the ring. You guys want a Roy family to continue the legacy? We'll throw your redheaded stepson or brother in the mix and have Connor run the company, which would be pretty wild.
That would be wild.
I
wouldn't mind to see it though.
What do you think about the theory that Connor is the same character that he played in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and that, like, neglected by a rich father who is like kind of bored and lonely? I think it's kind of
connected universe.
I cannot stand Connor. I can't. And let me put it this way: any person who thinks they are going to enter presidency and throw that much money down the drain like it's nothing. Oh, 100 million. Oh, okay. No, I hate you so much.
So every character on the show?
Huh?
So every character on the show?
I don't think a lot of them threw away so much money at a whim like he did with this. Like, the fact that, I mean, as soon as he's like, it's still 1%, I go, oh, come on. Like, no.
The kids did just throw an extra 500 million to make it around 10 billion in the first episode. As Roman said, they could have spent that on snowmobiles.
Yeah, but to
be fair, I'm not defending
gaining
anybody.
Something, whereas Connor just threw it away. He's not getting any of that back. There's nothing.
He gets
that was
a place in the conversation.
Right.
Oh man, I cannot stand Connor.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an ego trip for him, I think, more than anything. So not much thoughts on Connor. I think he'll probably have the happiest ending of all the kids, probably.
Honestly.
Let's talk about the old guard. So pretty much all the Frank, Carl, Hugo, and Gerri, who's been. I think I've been a little upset the past few episodes. Gerri hasn't gotten as much to do as I would have liked. I would have liked to at least see something between her and Roman after he broke down the eulogy, but I guess they've kind of broken off their paths. But
Yeah, he fired her twice.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I think she still kind of
She's
cares for him.
She's getting a ridiculous amount of money, and like she's just going to be out of it.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, deserved queen. But
And then
like
Kendall's recruiting a lot of the others. He's got Hugo, Colin. I'm not sure if Frank. I think Carl just wants that golden parachute and to get his island. I don't know how much he wants to stick around. And then Frank. I think Frank and Kendall. If Kendall gets the big CEO position, would be a good duo.
So if it's Kendall, they're good. If it is like Greg or Tom or somebody, I don't know. Well, because a lot of them are on the kill list. So if Matteson's taking over, like I think Kendall would save them if he gets appointed as the American CEO. If it's anybody else, they don't have ties. I think that they're gone. Like kill list goes into effect. Like bye bye.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. I don't think. I just hope Gerri gets happy ending. I don't really care.
I
for
think she
any
will.
others.
I think she will.
Yeah. Yeah. Okie doke. And how about Matteson? What do we think? Him. I think he's going to definitely betray Shiv by picking a different American CEO.
Yeah.
But I think he'll probably still end up with the company in the end. Just I don't know. What you look a little unsure of that, Utaka. What do you think?
But the numbers, like, I mean,
When has lying ever stopped anybody?
Yeah, I would say.
I mean that's true. Oh,
he did say acquiring the company would kind of help with the numbers too.
They would make the numbers real.
Yeah, make them real.
Just build a second India. I don't know.
But that's if like
Listen, okay, just gonna throw this out here, just as a hypothetical. I don't necessarily think this. Like, what if he just doesn't appoint an American CEO and just takes it over and cuts everybody out?
I was about to say that. I
Like,
was
why is
wondering,
that
like, what if
not still
there
a
just isn't a CEO? Like, what
But
if
Mencken wants an American CEO.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Yeah, but you
that's
know how
if
much money
Macon
Mattheson
actually
has?
ends up being president though too.
I think
That's the
that
other
might be
thing.
too many twists if they're gonna like do a whole other who's president now. I think he'll probably end up.
That's still
president.
part of this. Like, I
Take
think
90
that's
minutes.
part of the.
Yeah, I just think in the cynical succession world, Mencken is gonna end up being president. I don't think it. I think the happier ending
He
would him
isn't
not be
even if Mencken wins, he isn't president yet. So if we're gonna have this deal, like he won't be president for a couple more months, even if he's actually elected. So he isn't the president right now. He can't guarantee anything. So if this episode is happening to that day, like it is happening like within that day, you know, and if flashbacks are just flash forwards are taking place afterwards or whatever. But like Mencken isn't president. He can't do anything right now. He can't block anything. He can't allow anything. He can't enforce the CEO. And there's literally nothing stopping Matteson from just being like, I'm going to buy it. No, actually, I've decided no American CEO. It's mine now. Goodbye. All the Roy's out.
That's possible.
Yeah,
I do think he would still want to be in good graces with the potential U.S. president going forward, though.
Yeah.
So I think he'll probably still go with it to be safe. But I mean, he could do that potentially.
I mean, and the kids still do have Pierce to fall back on. So we could see a world where like the kids end up losing their dad's company, but then taking up their, dad's biggest rival. Maybe. Like, that's a world, or maybe some of them do. Maybe some, like, I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities, and like I don't necessarily think this will, like, this isn't like my big final prediction or whatever. But like, we can't rule that out as a possibility that Matteson's just gonna be like, no, it's mine now. Goodbye. Like, that can still very easily happen.
Yeah, it does have potential. That is all I had for the characters. So I guess any other overall predictions anyone wanted to throw out there?
I'll just say this. I just wanted to stick the landing because for the last, 4 seasons, what was it, 2016 or 17 when the show started? it's very rare for a show to stick the landing as far as finales go. I've been burned so many times of, finales just being underwhelming. So I'm just hoping that we get and it's always hard, right, to satisfy everybody. But I just hope that narratively speaking, it stays true to what the show has been, what the characters have been, and just having something that I guess universally we feel like, maybe it didn't end the way I wanted to, or the theories didn't play out the way I wanted to, but it fits the Succession world. So that's what I really want to happen. I can't think of the last time I saw a show that ended that has that extra hour, the 30 minutes or so to really expand on things, which always gets me excited. I'm a big Barry fan. I'm hoping that they surprise us with like another 30 minutes of Barry, which I doubt. But no, I just hope at the end of the day that they have a satisfying conclusion that stays true to the essence of what the show can be. And if it does, even if it doesn't, knock on wood, if it doesn't stick to the landing, I still will appreciate everything that the show has given us thus far, with just introducing me to, I didn't really know much of Jeremy Strong prior to this, Sarah Schnook. The only one I knew of was Brian Cox prior to this, due to his X-Men days as Riker back in X2. But besides that, all these characters and actors were pretty much fresh to me, and I will always remember them in these roles, even if they go on to win Oscars or Emmys and other shows and movies, which I hope they do all continue to have success. But this show is great, and I'm just hoping that it sticks to landing.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I think even if the finale isn't very good, I'll still appreciate the show overall. Like Game of Thrones, that final season was not the best, but I still appreciate
the
first
previous
6 or so.
Yeah, 6, 6.5. Yeah.
7's a little in the middle. 7's in the middle.
I appreciate a show that knows to go out when it should.
Yeah.
So the fact, I would love another season, but I'm happy that they're like looking at this and like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. Like, all right, okay, let's.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I've really been enjoying this season. Like,
it's been great.
It's been very strong throughout. So I would be a little upset if they didn't stick the landing. I'm not going to say it's probably going to be a perfect finale, but I would be shocked if we were left underwhelmed.
Yeah. Because I can't even think of a bad episode. I don't think I've ever seen a bad episode of the show ever.
No, that's why I would be shocked. That's what would upset me the most. I think as long as we, Elliot, you said, keeps in the vein of the show, we get these strong performances that we've seen throughout the entire show. Like, I will just be just eating this up like popcorn of some sort. I'm so excited. That would be like, if just don't pull a Sopranos thing.
Just cut the black.
Oh man, that would kind of get me a little, but I can kind of respect that. But yeah, I would be more shocked if we left.
Yeah, like like this show's been incredible, and especially this season has just been like stunning, like week to week. So I don't know. I have full faith in Mark Mylod and Jesse Armstrong to bring this home. Like, I mean, looking back at like previous seasons, the finale has been the best, if not like, top 3 episode of the season. I think we can all universally kind of agree on that.
Yep.
Like the finales are always incredibly strong, and I don't know why we should be thinking of this one as any different. Like, I think it's, appropriate to go in with a little bit of jitters that like it may not, live up to our expectations, but like literally what evidence do we have that it isn't? If anything, the show's only been getting better as the season's been going. So like, I don't know. I really genuinely don't see any reason to be concerned that they won't stick the landing.
Yeah, I agree. I think at least season 2 and season 3, their finales, I think, were the best episodes of those.
I agree. I think season 1, it's episode 6. The
boardroom episode. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. So I think it's going to end very satisfactorily. I mean, a whole 90 minutes. I think they're going to include everything. Thank God that it's that long.
Yeah. Well, I have a question too for the panel as far as in a world of success, future of the show, is there any potential spinoffs, prequels? Because I know I saw an interview with Brian Cox that he jokingly said that Armstrong had briefly mentioned that if they were to do a spinoff, he had an idea to. do we see, again, going back to Yutaka, a lot of times with BBC shows, 3 seasons, 2 seasons, 4 seasons, and that's it. But then, you have like Doctor Who that has like these spinoffs and hour specials and all that. So they sometimes dip their hand back in the well. But I'm just curious, do you guys think that Succession has a potential of 3, 4, 5 years from now, some type of Max spinoff or prequel series of the succession of Logan with the company, seeing a young Shiv, Kendall, or even bringing it back to him being, young and a little bit of Ewan's story? We have like a Chernobyl show or something with Succession characters.
If Shiv gets like screwed over and cut out, I would love to see a spinoff with her running Pierce. Like, I think that would be really to see her at war than say if her brothers are still part of ATN. Like, I would watch that. I like prequel shows every now and then, but this isn't a show I want to go back and like see the beginnings. I want to see what happens next. Yeah. Even if it's less on even the Roys and maybe just another part in that realm. I don't know. Like, I would love to see personally, maybe it's because I just love Sarah Snook. I would really like to see a Shiv spinoff.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I would love that.
No more Succession.
But like,
I don't say
just
no.
a continuation of the show. I don't even know if that's a spinoff. Like,
it could. I mean, it's no more let's say it's not even ATN. She's just doing her own thing, and they're somewhat in the background. Maybe they're like guest spots, but I wouldn't say never, because if the ratings are huge, which they have been this year, money talks. And with I'll even say with the writer strike, I know a lot of these studios or cable companies are like, what do we have next? What is going to keep people coming back? I mean, everything's obviously still at a standstill, but I just remember the last strike, it crippled the industry I don't think we've ever really, technically in my eyes, recovered to what we used to be. And I think we're still gonna see some negative effects, which we should if these studios don't pay. But I mean, it would be smart if they have some type of spinoff.
Yeah,
I think the objectively correct answer is that we see Connor and Willa's misadventures in politics in Slovenia. Like, I
definitely be a comedy.
Like, it is that would be so far. That would be removed from everything. We wouldn't even have to touch back with anyway. It would just be Connor like messing everything up in Slovenia, the most inconsequential country. Sorry if you're watching Slovenia. Like,
I mean, that would.
But I worry about if there is a spin-off and it takes place after the series finale and it's focused on some of the same characters. At what point does it just become Succession season 5?
And again, that's why I don't need it. Like,
well, I mean,
I don't need it.
I'll throw this out there. My favorite show of all time is Breaking Bad, and I never imagined that world continuing. And I still have to catch up on Better Call Saul, but I know I have friends that are like deep into that show and have even surpassed, like, it's over Breaking Bad for some people. So going back to the talk of like the never say never thing, hell, I would never thought that. And apparently Ken Harrington isn't coming back for the Jon Snow spinoff, but I never thought he would come back in a role. But that's something that has, got
that one's also
going. But it sounds like it's less of a thing. But again, going back to Money Talks, award-winning show, next to Game of Thrones, I would say maybe not on a viewership level, but just from an award standpoint, this is HBO's one of the most celebrated shows in its catalog, at least in the last decade, besides Game of Thrones. So, again, like I said, Better Call Saul is a fantastic show, and I don't know if we have like a character that's like as separated as Saul was. He was only like a key player in one season and appeared in various other seasons, but you never say never, man. You never know. Have a Greg spinoff or something like that.
By the end of the finale, we could have a
Greg spinoff,
right? Or Jess. Follow Jess. Let's have Jess and have her come.
Jess.
She can get her.
Actually,
she's a great actress.
Jess.
Yeah.
Honestly, just women. Let's do more women, please.
Yes.
Like, let's.
Hey, Jerry, have the Jerry spinoff.
Jerry.
Honestly,
I would absolutely watch that.
let's watch Gerri vacation in Hawaii after she gets all of her Waystar money.
There you go, Trevor. Jerry goes on the White Lotus season 3 crossover, season 4
Dead.
crossover.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Or we
she's
could have
so
all of
good.
a show with all of Logan's exes as
There
after
you go.
they could go on a vacation together.
There you go.
I-
Yeah,
There it
something.
is. HBO, give us a call.
Yeah,
These
That
Jerry's
would be
are
great.
killing me.
yeah. I love Jerry. But yeah, any other final
Do
thoughts?
you guys
Final
remember when
predictions?
Sarah Snook, or Shiv's hair was curlier? Like,
In, like,
I was just
earlier
looking at a
seasons?
picture. I saw a clip from season 1. Her
Mhm.
hair was like curly at one point, and
It
I
was
feel like
longer,
I've been
too.
watching the show for like 20 years because of that. Like,
And then she got the girl boss Bob,
right,
You did.
completely straightened.
and
Or
now she's
slightly
going to be a
wavy.
girl failure after this, but it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
Crazy.
any final predictions? Final thoughts? If you had to say right now, who do you think is going to be CEO? I'm going to put my money on Tom. I'm going to stick with that. Well,
I'm
Tom, I
thinking
think
Kendall.
at some point during the finale, Tom will be CEO. I don't know if he's going to end up as CEO. But I think at the end, it's either Kendall or none of them, actually.
Oh, so you're okay. Yeah,
Oh.
I think at some
Kendall-
point during the finale, Tom is going to become CEO, but he's
Mhm.
going to also then lose that position.
I think Kendall, but my wild card is that it's just Matteson.
I'm
Okay.
the same way as Trevor.
Okay.
Yeah, Ken or Greg.
Greg. True wild card.
I would
Yeah.
rather have Ken. I don't want to see Greg on top
I
at
don't
I don't
all.
want to see Greg ever again.
I have to give it to the actor though. Like he is phenomenal. He's
Yeah,
hilarious.
Nicholas, yeah.
But I'm trying to think if I've
And also
even seen
questionable
another
work.
film or show with him in it. So I don't want to see that.
Yeah, no. Ken or no one. It's what I think it's going to end up
Make-
being.
Or Shiv to make my hair happy, but it would not make sense thematically. So
It would not, no. But I would be happy. But yeah. Yeah. So I think that's really it for all of our predictions. Let's go around the table. Let's start off with you, Yutaka. Where can they find you on the internet?
Just at Horror Hour TV, talking just the most gutted and rotted. Well, I'm sorry, our content is gutted and rotted, but I do think we talk about some fun stuff. But yeah, so if you ever want to watch that, and occasionally we try, or I try and do some other things, but yeah, we've got some Tribeca interviews coming up, so I'm
Ooh,
excited for that.
Nice. Yeah, Succession is a little modern horror, I think. Just a little
Elevated
bit.
horror, as
Yeah,
they
yeah.
would.
Definitely elevated horror. Yeah. How about you, Trevor? You just debuted something on your YouTube channel.
oh god, yeah, I did. I made a movie. That's the thing that happened.
Congrats. That's not
so-
an easy feat, man.
Great
Congrats.
movie.
Yeah. So
It is
there's
very
that happened. I also talk about the Oscars a lot and yell about them a bit. We're currently chatting about the Cannes Film Festival a lot because that's the thing that's happening. So lots of festival stuff, reviews. I do some interviews sometimes, talk about awards, all the. I don't. You just Oscar buzz. Find it if you want. I guess.
Yeah. Go watch Solitary Eyes.
Yeah, that's what it's called. I'm good at
What it's
marketing.
called. Yep. How about you, Sam?
Well, hopefully, I don't have like a specific platform, but hopefully, I can be more involved with Trevor on Oscar Buzz and become a.
You will be. Yeah.
figure
Okay.
there.
That sounds like it's a dig, but you will. Yes.
A threat. Oh.
I don't know. You can mostly just find me on Twitter at Sam the Parasite. I'm pretty popular on there. You can go
You
follow
do say
me.
so yourself.
Yeah,
If you do say so.
I tweet a lot about Michelle Yeoh. Not much else.
I respect
Hey.
that. Let me. You know what? I'm
Yeah.
gonna follow you right now because
I just tweet about the Barbie movie, so like we're
Yeah, I've watched the trailer like 7 times.
Nice.
Yeah. And Elliot, how about you? Getting ready for Succession and Barry on Sunday.
Yeah, man, double duty. Well, first off, Jack, it was, we just met for the first time via the internet. But thank you for having me on. It's always
course,
great
yeah.
catching up with you. Nice meeting you, Trevor and Sam. I will definitely give Sam a follow. Check out that Michelle Yeoh, praising all the greatness and checking out Trevor's new film and catching up with Jack. And then again, being really acquainted with you, checking out all the
Yeah.
content you have on your channel. So thank you for having me on. But
Of course.
yeah, as far as the channel, Succession Sunday, I have a little after show that I run for the last 10 weeks now, and I'll be discussing all the stuff that we discussed tonight, see what came to be true or completely didn't happen. So definitely join me on Sunday. And it does break my heart that HBO, whoever decided to have Barry and Succession run at the same time,
They did Barry dirty.
needs to be fired.
They did.
So much. Oh my goodness. But anyway,
Barry deserves its own Sunday.
Say it louder, Jack. Yes, he does. But
I've not
I will
watched
be
any of
talking
this
about-
season because I just haven't had time. So I'm waiting until
Man,
it
you're in
all.
for a treat.
I
Saga. It's
either.
been pretty amazing. I'll just
This
say that.
season's great.
I heard that Oscar winner Sean Hayter made an appearance.
She did. As
Oh,
Sean
she did.
Hader,
Yeah.
director of
Oh.
Coda.
Wasn't
Yeah,
she also
now
mentioned in Abbott
making
Elementary? Like, what is Sean
multiple-
Hader
Oh
doing?
yeah, well, Quinta Brunson loves to make fun of things that she doesn't like that are popular. She's made fun of Green Book, Coda, and My Octopus Teacher. So
As she should.
Guillermo
But no,
del
again,
Toro
you guys
also.
can find, like I said, you can find me here at Movie Files on YouTube. But again, Jack, thanks for having me on, man.
Of course. Yeah. So thank you all for watching. We'll see if any of this pans out, probably not, knowing
We'll
Succession.
all be wrong, and we
But-
all know we're all going to be
I
wrong.
hope
yeah.
we're wrong. It'll make it fun.
Yeah, nice surprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you all for watching. Go check all these awesome guys out, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.